Okay, we got a keyword here called modifiers, okay? And modifiers give additional and specific informations in a controlled environment. There are many modifiers, but I'm going to address 3 modifiers. The first one is called adjectives, as you were taught from your first English teachers from back home. And this is the most common modifier. For example, I see a red car. The word red is modifying the word car. Giving us more information about this noun, right? Just like you could say amazing person, fast car, or funny looking president, and the funny looking is modifying that person, right? The second modifier is also common, which is called relative clause, and this is a group of words initiated by a relative pronoun followed by subject and a noun. And unlike the first modifier, the relative clause comes after the noun that is being modified. Now, the third modifier is not so common. It's called prepositional phrases. So rather than saying, I see a red car, you could say, I see a car in red, or I see a car under the bridge. I see a man behind the window. So these prepositional phrases are also giving us more information, detailed information about the noun. So in a quick summary, both relative clauses and prepositional phrases come after the noun, whereas adjectives come before the noun. Now, let me suggest that before we go into the next lesson, I suggest you grab yourself some coffee because it is a little complicated today. Here we go.
Furthermore, we have 2 situations here. The first one is called reduce relative clause on page 64 in your textbooks. So here's a sample. The women who are elected to Congress are in the minority. As you can see, we have the relative clause right here, modifying the women. Let's look at the next sentence. The women elected to Congress are in the minority. Now, sentence A and B have the same meaning. The only difference here is that this is called reduced relative clause because it is shortened, it is reduced and modified, and for that reason, the sentence B is much more efficient. And as far as how we can make it efficient are 2 things. Okay, number 1, we got to remove the relative pronoun. Second, remove the be verb, and like any other relative clauses, it's always going to come after the noun. Okay, let's look at the second situation, which is called complex noun phrases on page 64. But this time, here is a boring and a weak thesis. Okay, so we have iPhone is a smartphone, very weak. Okay, let's say our goal is to build a stronger thesis. Here's what we're going to do. We're just going to add 1 modifier. In this case, it's just a simple adjective. iPhone is an innovative smartphone. Little better, but still weak. Let's try to add 1 more. iPhone created by Apple. Now this is reduced relative clause and also the same adjective. Let's say we're going to add a 3rd modifier. Here we go. We have iPhone created by Apple, which is the relative clause, is an innovative adjective. Smartphone for college students. Now, the 3rd modifier is called prepositional phrase. Now, having that prepositional phrase gives us a specific target. This time, in this case, we're talking about college students. We have modifier as an adjective, and then we have second modifier use a reduced clause, and then 3rd modifier we have prepositional phrase. Now, here's a 3rd situation. We're gonna continue with the complex noun phrases on page 65, but this time, let me recommend maybe stop the video, get yourself a coffee refill, because this gets a little bit complicated. So here's a sample. The rise of the women in business has been impressive. This indicates that traditional gender roles are being challenged. Okay, here's a complex noun phrase version. The impressive rise of the women in business indicates that traditional gender roles are being challenged. So the purpose here, we're trying to showcase another way to utilize complex noun phrases by being efficient, okay, which is by combining multiple sentences into one. So it looks very complicated here. It seems like there's a lot of moving parts here, but here's how it works. We decide to take the adjective from the verb phrase. So let's just call this verb phrase right here. And then impressive is the adjective. And then we have a noun phrase, which is up here. Okay, we're going to call that NP. So when you look at the second sample, we took the adjective and then we moved it to the front. Okay, so again, there's a lot of moving parts here. And this way, you can be a little more efficient here. It has a different look to it. So we have impressive rise of the women in business indicates that traditional roles are being challenged. So this is like two sentences into one. As far as how that works is that it only works when your verb phrase is used with a be verb. And then also your next sentence, which is this indicates, must have the same subject. Okay, so when you say the word this, it is referring to the noun phrase here. Okay, let me just put a different angle here. Let's say Kanye is jealous. He's going to break up with Kim. Okay, so what we're going to do is that we're going to take this adjective and then we're going to move it to the front, and then we have jealous Kanye. Okay, that's a modifier. Is going to break up with Kim. I'm going to give you another example. Grammar class was difficult. Okay, next sentence, it can be rewarding. Let's try to put this into complex noun phrase, and we have a difficult grammar class because we took the adjective and we moved it to the front. Class can be rewarding. Okay, let's try to be a little more creative. A difficult grammar class offered in the evening. We have reduced relative clause. Can be rewarding. Not bad. Now let's try one more. A difficult grammar class offered in the evening can be rewarding for international students.
Okay, let's just clarify a few things. When we say noun phrases, we have a group of words that functions as a modifier. That could be a group of words like adjective plus noun, or relative clauses, or prepositional phrases. Number two, when we say complex noun phrases, we have combination of modifiers. In other words, you could have multiple modifiers in one sentence. For example, it's like how we took that boring iPhone thesis and then transformed into much more detailed, stronger thesis. Anyway, thank you for tuning in. I'll see you guys next time.